when you spoke to Nell, I don't know if she mentioned that we went to Parliament, right? So our Parliament to talk about Bitcoin. There was a entourage of us that went there, to speak to the government, like so the National Party. So we've got a coalition government, I think, same as Australia, and there's three parties that make up our government, if you like, and they all came to the Parliament to hear one of the guys talk about Bitcoin, and there's a whole entourage of us. And what really shocked me is that nobody in there knew anything about Bitcoin. And aside, just to add to that, we'd just been in Vegas, right? So this was sort of April, May, June, I suppose. And what blew me away is that, like Trump you remember he was campaigning on Bitcoin, right? David Sachs, this whole Bitcoin friendly administration. And these guys that are actually in Parliament in New Zealand had no clue about Bitcoin, which was strange to me, being that you would think that you'd be keeping an ear on the ground as to what the American government's doing, right? Especially if you're in government yourself. They knew nothing. It was pretty wild, actually.
Uh-huh. And like, how did they take to you guys talking about it?
They loved it. So, I mean, I didn't say anything. I was just tagging along, basically. But um, so the way it works is we had a room. It was the caucus room of the National Party, and I want to say there was probably 30, maybe 35 MPs showed up, and they all stayed for ages. Like typically they'll go to something like that, they'll eat the food and then they'll leave, if it's not interesting. But there was a lot of genuine interest there. But I've got so we've got a thing called the Bitcoin Policy Institute in New Zealand, which is, I think they've got them in America and parts of the world where they are looking or advocating for Bitcoin to governments. And again, this is just that water and oil kind of thing. Bitcoin's not for central government, right? This is what separates the money from the state. So I support these guys for what they're doing, but I can't see a time where a government who's got access to their own money machine, right? So we have the Reserve Bank here in New Zealand, so the government basically has control of that. Why would they embrace something that's completely decentralized that they don't have any control over? It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Everyone's running accounts, and it's like they have no access to them through the banks. You can't freeze anyone, you can't tax anyone, you know? Like, they'll never bring that in.
Have you read The Creature from Jekyll Island?
No, I haven't.
You've probably heard of it, mate. It's compulsory reading. I mean, it's a big book, and it's basically about the creation of the Federal Reserve. And you read that book, mate, and then you realize how dark the Federal Reserve and the US dollar and everything connected to it. The IMF and the World Bank and all these other organizations. Like these people or these organizations, if you like, have got these guys create misery all over the world. They've been responsible for wars, proxy wars, deaths of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. This is since the creation of the Federal Reserve. These guys aren't going to just roll over and allow Bitcoin just to come in and take over. That's not to say that Bitcoin can't. I'm after reading that book, I'm sort of thinking if Bitcoin was to take over, become a reserve asset of the world, it probably wouldn't happen in my lifetime. I don't think. I'm still hopeful, but when you understand how insidious these organizations are and the lengths that they're willing to go to maintain control of different countries and just our whole money system, it'd be very difficult to see Bitcoin being a big player anytime soon.
Mhm, mhm. I know, like, me based in Costa Rica and, like, a little bit of the history here. It was like they got their first huge loan from the IMF, right? And, like, Latin America isn't set up economically, like the rest of the world, especially not, 50, 100 years ago. So they give this massive loan to Costa Rica, and then Costa Rica can't pay it back. So then they go, okay, we're going to send in a whole bunch of people to like fix your economy and basically like make all the like slave export, pay people nothing of bananas and everything to the US. And then like people, there was like assassinations that were happening for people who like weren't taking place, and then like even down in Colombia something similar happened, and it was like the United Fruit Company, like all these people went on strike down there because they were basically being forced to work because the government had to pay back these loans, and they all striked, and then it didn't resolve, so they just went in and just killed everyone and just reset, like full massacre. And this is only what this was like, I think in the 40s, uh, you know.
It's dark, bro. It's so dark. And this is the thing with the IMF, right? So to your point, they do exactly that. Come in, we'll bail you out. And this is the same. Even they've done it. They do it in America. Like, the Federal Reserve will loan money, to these countries. Oh, sorry, the IMF or whatever. They know they can't pay it back. All they're interested in, they don't really care about the principal so much. It's the interest payments. That's the thing that they care about. So they lend X amount of millions or billions. They can't make the payments. That's okay. We'll give you more money so you can keep paying us our interest payments. And then they get even more in trouble until some time. Then they start giving away their sovereignty. That's what happens in these countries where they'll give away, whatever it is, gas reserves, oil reserves, anything to sort of try and stay above water, but it's a lose-lose situation. The IMF knows that. I mean, they're not in the business of helping people out. They're there to basically bleed these countries dry. It's sick actually.
It is. And like thank God for Bitcoin, but man, like you said, like it's going to be some time. Like I don't see any of this kind of working out towards like a Bitcoin standard across the world until the dollar fails, and my God, they're going to squeeze, you know.
Well, the thing is, these people that are trying to make it work from a governmental level from the top down, and it needs to be the bottom up, and that's really what Bitcoin is, right? So, you know, piece by piece, person by person, just acquiring Bitcoin.
Thanks so much for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed the show. If you did enjoy the show, don't forget to like and subscribe below. It really helps a growing channel like this out. And click up here, it'll take you to a collection of the best this podcast has to offer.